Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Digital Media Saint. This is the penultimate episode. I was hoping I was going to say that right. I think I did. So it's the second to last of the 2020 season. I don't know how many episodes we've done. We've probably done like over 30 episodes. So you can take a look at all of those episodes on nhvknown.com / Digital Media Saint. They're all up there. I'm just going to do an intro really, really quickly because I'm super excited. I have a guest today. I love having guests. I love having people to talk to and bounce ideas and concepts off of. So I just wanted to let you know that I am here at Known Co-working. Known Co-working is open. It is at 139 Orange Street on the 4th floor, and there are dedicated desks, offices, and meeting spaces available. There are 3 programs that we are running as live streams. So one is Pivot Talk, one is Connection Corner, and then my program is Digital Media Sync, and I'll run through those at the end of the show. But I really wanted to jump right into, this is the 3rd in the series of digital media, social media trends, marketing trends for 2021. So the first 2 episodes, I kind of ran off a couple of articles that I had found that I found kind of resonated with the kind of information that I wanted to provide, and I thought that was important. So I'm going to actually take this time now to bring my guest, Randye Spina, on. Randye is a fellow marketer. She's also a professor, and she is a writer, and she's also a very good cook because I've seen some of the dishes that she has posted online. So welcome, Randye.
Hi, Giulia. Thank you for having me on again. So much fun.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And we're actually going to go through a Medium article that you wrote about marketing in a pandemic. And I read over it a couple of times, and I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. I think that this is really important. I'm super excited that you're here.
Thank you. I am too. I am as well. So yeah, marketers and companies and brands, everybody's having a really hard time right now, obviously. I was watching the news earlier this morning, and another round of stimulus checks are going out to small businesses, but it's still not enough. I heard, depending upon the size of your business, anywhere from 10 to I think it was $30,000 for small businesses. And I mean, that's just not even enough, for a restaurant, for example, $30,000, you could bring that in one night, so things are tough, but, I think there are some things that businesses in general, no matter what no matter what you're selling, can certainly do to at least try to survive. And I'm going to add something to the article. I did some research about, and I had an interesting experience this weekend with art. So I'm going to talk a little bit separately at the end about creative and artist businesses.
Yeah.
But, so I did some research about trends in marketing in a pandemic, and, it looked very dire early on. 9,000 businesses closed last year, retail. And it's estimated another 25,000 are going to close by the end of, by the end of next week, right? So, yeah, and so that is obviously terrible for retailers. Lord & Taylor closed, Pier 1 closed, Men's Warehouse closed down. But I think it's really awful for the brands as well, that are selling. Brands and wholesalers of all kinds rely on retailers, right, to be able to get to the end consumer. So I think one of the trends direct to consumer, so DTC. So we've seen the explosion of, Birchbox was one of the first big ones. Dollar Shave Club, of course, was another one, and the men's products. But I think there's it's a trend that brands are going to have to adopt. They're going to have to learn to conduct business directly with their end buyers.
Yeah.
So depending upon, what that business is, and there are certain exceptions. Obviously, a restaurant can kind of do it with either delivery or pickup, but, I'm talking more like retail stores right now.
Yeah.
So like clothing, to a certain extent, grocery stores, that have, that are really having a hard time. So I think brands that are not currently doing direct to consumer certainly should be. And, for example, I'll just use clothing designers because that's the easiest example. If you were selling your brand exclusively at Lord & Taylor, you've got a really big problem right now. So you may not have distribution set up, but you also may not have customers to sell to. Right. So one of the things that, I always recommend, even in the years I was running my agency, is email marketing. It's the lowest ROI. It's effective if done well, if done, of course, correctly. But, it's an asset. A customer list is an asset. It is as important, if not more important, than the money that you have in your bank account. So your customer list, to be able to build a customer list of people who have self-identified, who are interested in your brand, your product, your service, whatever it might be. So I think that is number one.
Yeah, that was something that I actually just talked about with another marketer yesterday, how important, and that's the first question we ask, right? Is like, what does your database look like? What does your customer list look like, your email list? And how much information do you actually have about those, like you said, that self-identify as being interested? What's the interest and what's going to get them, past that point?
Right. And consumers are leery of giving out information these days because everybody's worried about getting, hacked or whatever. So I do understand that, you might not want to give your birthday out, even though you'll get a gift certificate or a coupon in your birthday month. I understand that. But having a customer list is such a tremendous asset. It's definitely an asset of your business. If you can't do business directly with your customers, whether it's B2B or B2C, it doesn't really matter. Either way, if you can't tether them to you, then you're going to be chasing them all over the internet. And that is so expensive. Depending upon how competitive your industry keywords are, you can spend a fortune, on Google. And isn't it better to have someone just be their go-to, provided that everything else is satisfying to them, your pricing, your service and all of that. So I think, going direct to consumer is definitely one of the big trends. And there's so many ways that businesses can do that. Not now, but maybe in 2021, there's an awful lot of empty retail space. There are going to be bargains to have. So I think if you sell, let's say, again, clothing, opening up your own small boutique, and not just to sell out of, but also to ship from, right? So you can still serve, customers all over the country, all over the world. But you need a place. You need a physical location to be able to ship from. So that's one thing. Obviously, if you have a website right now that's just kind of a digital brochure, that's not going to cut it. It needs to be e-commerce. There are so many ways to do that now. There are like carts you can just like drop in to an existing website. They're not very expensive, and you are then well positioned for the future. And I think really every business should have, every business where it makes sense, right? It should have
Yeah.
an e-commerce site. Having your own location, again, email, e-commerce site, these are all ways that brands can ensure that they have their consumers can access
Yeah.
and then be able to sell to them. So I think that's a really important trend. Again, some industries are going to find that easier than others, but to the extent that it makes sense for your business and your budget, definitely something that you should consider.
Consider. Yeah.
And of course, backed up by social media so people know that you exist and all of that. But the idea is to try to circumvent spending all that money on, keywords and search engine optimization, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's really kind of going in the background now because, and not that keywords are not important, but it's becoming less and less a piece of that pie as you bring in social media, as you bring in the email marketing, as you bring in things like writing articles, like a Medium article or something like that, having that relevancy. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
Right.
that is definitely something.
Right. And I don't know. I tried to find this information, but I couldn't. I don't know how willing consumers are now to start changing brands or trying new things. So if they're happy with you and your service and your product, that's nirvana. That's marketing nirvana, is to have a customer list of people who love doing business with you.
Right.
And if you do your emails right and your social media right, and they can be shared, or like a referral program that incents people to, have their friends, family, neighbors, use your service as well, then that's absolutely nirvana, because it's a testimonial.
Exactly.
You're saying that, hey, I'm happy with this, and you should try it too. That's as good as a review as you can get. So that's definitely one thing. The other thing is to think about, like gift cards are really big right now, right? So that's a direct to consumer thing. You can mail a gift card in an envelope for the price of a stamp. You don't have to go mail packages and get weighed and spend a lot of money. And gift cards, people can do with it what they want, and the business gets the money now.
Exactly.
And that's really important. So whether it's a branded gift card for a particular store, or just a general gift card, it is and it's not too late to do that. Today's the 22nd. You still have some time.
You still have time, right? And you can do a digital gift card as well. And that's something that I'm doing now with my retail clients, right? Yep. It's like, okay, we're at the point where can't be going to the post office, anymore. There's a cutoff as far as like getting something on time, but a gift card and a digital gift card you can really get. And I know I've seen a lot of businesses kind of throughout saying, even for services, right? Like for massage services or, like get a gift card. And then when the consumer or the customer feels comfortable going into an actual location, they have that there for them. So yeah, it's kind of like paying ahead for services that you're going to get. But yeah, the business is getting the money there, and that's definitely very important in this time.
Very, very. So if you have friends and family who have any kind of business that you can support right now, with a gift card, with a digital gift card, whatever, make sure that you're getting the word out, because these big corporations, the mega corps, they don't really need your business right now, but the small businesses do. So that's one trend. And then the second trend I called, McKinsey and Company did a study of what consumers are looking for when they choose which company to do business with or which brand
Right.
to do business with. And having a firm mission and purpose is really important right now. People are becoming more political with their purchase decisions.
Mhm.
And so they've identified this as really the number one trend. So if you do that already, make it known. That's what advertising means. Advertising, the word translates to the phrase, make it known. So make it known that you
Right.
do that. Put it on your social media, get it in your emails, get it on your website, and tell people that you support this mission or that mission, or here's your purpose, or company, you've donated this, or, you are, I don't know, donating your time to some place that you support. And, there are going to be people who don't agree with you, people who are on the other side, but there are businesses that are supporting those as well. So there's kind of something for everyone.
Yeah.
And having a mission and a purpose is, it's almost like you believe in what they believe in, and
Right.
so you are more willing to give your very
Your dollar to, right? Because it's like
yeah,
it's how you make those connections, right? So you make
absolutely.
connections with good products and good services. You make
Mhm.
connections with good personal service. Like you as a business, if you as a business anticipate what your customer consumer is looking for, it's like boom. And then having like,
Right.
all right, we're on the same wavelength. We have the same mindset. We both believe that X is important. So that's like just really huge.
Right. And people really are making purchase decisions based on um, political and mission affiliation.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you agree with it or not, it's still happening. So get on the right side of that,
Mhm.
it used to be, companies would sponsor a sign on the highway, such and
Right.
such supports, whatever, animal adoption or whatever it is. But now it's more important than ever to be clear with what your mission is.
Like mission is and what
Um,
you believe. Yeah.
yeah. And one company that's done that really well, and you mentioned that I love to cook, and I do, and I always have. But I never baked bread before in my entire life until March or April of this year.
Right.
I jumped on the pandemic baking.
Pandemic baking.
I
What?
never baked bread before. It is. Some are easier than others. Some take days to rise and fold, and that was too much for me. But a good focaccia, I'm all in,
Oh, yeah.
right?
My language.
It's awesome. It's so easy. And so the King Arthur used to be called King Arthur Flour Company, and they recently rebranded to King Arthur Baking Company after like 230 years in business. So their mission is all about inclusivity and diversity and all of that. And the way that they prove their mission, it's not just words, right?
Yeah.
Is during the pandemic they had their employees doing baking lessons from home. So you literally got to be in, let's say their, human resources director's kitchen, and with their kids and baking, and it was a whole variety. And the series is still going on. They stream it live on Facebook. And they are, that's the equivalent of what was called experiential marketing, which of course, since we
Mhm.
can't gather anymore, is sort of dead. But they really support their mission, and they prove it with these videos.
Right.
So like, not only are they doing good for society, but they're doing good for their business, they're doing good for their beliefs and their diversity and all of that. And we all get to eat delicious homemade bread,
Right.
millions of us, for the first time.
Yeah.
I never thought I would bake bread in my whole life. And here I am doing it. I got to tell you, there is nothing better than the smell of fresh bread in an oven, you know? Oh my God, so good. Now I'm hungry.
This is a good tangent to go off on. I'm happy with it.
Definitely, definitely.
Good bread. Good bread,
Then,
good mission.
yeah, yeah. And then, the next trend that I identified is anything that you can do to make people's lives easier in this very stressful time of working from home or schooling from home, kind of pivot to show that you can solve those problems. So,
Right.
there were some easy ones, here in Connecticut, the distilleries that stopped, although alcohol sales, I heard on the news the other day, 500% increase in liquor
Oh,
store
yeah.
sales. So they're doing okay.
They're doing fine. Everything's good there.
Yeah, but nothing like a good scotch to go with your newly baked focaccia, right? But there's a lot of the distilleries have moved and have pivoted and are now making hand sanitizer.
Right.
So that's one example. But another one is they're called granny pods, and they are these prefab, anything from like a small shed you keep your tools in, and your lawnmower in the backyard, to like home offices, and they literally come pre-assembled, and they just drop into your backyard or your side yard, and for as little as $1,500 you can essentially add a room onto your home. And a lot of people have been using those pods now for either a classroom for their kids or a home office to get away from their kids.
Yep.
Right? So they can work in quiet. I mean, so many of us are working from home now. I've been doing that for quite a while, as have you, but for millions and millions of people, this is a whole new habit. Like, how do I do a conference call or a Zoom with, noise, and my kids are on their own classes at home, right next door in the dining room. Like, how do I do this, So that was an interesting pivot, how those companies that manufacture these prefab pods are starting to show them being used and like decorated and painted inside of how you can make it a home office, and or make it a classroom, and solving those problems for people who are maybe living in multi-generational households, who are really struggling to hold on to their jobs, be able to get work done. Headphones are great, but they don't solve all the problems.
Yeah.
Right. So that was an interesting pivot that I saw. And then, something I want to add on that I experienced this weekend. So I did a virtual painting party.
Right, you were telling me about that.
Oh my God, so much fun. Picasso has nothing to worry about. I am no competition, but I just it was wonderful. So it was the Zoom, obviously. There were about 50 people on the in the class, I'll say. And it was so much fun, had all the paints out, and I set up like a makeshift easel so that I could do the painting and not lie it flat. Like, I was so excited. I took my time setting everything up. It was this wonderful creative outlet. And what I learned is that the woman who owns this, she's actually in Chicago. She isn't local, but she is like a fourth grade art teacher, and she thought she was going to lose her job because the arts are the first thing to go, unfortunately. So she is she started this painting company. So it's what do they call the sip and something?
Oh yeah, I forget what it's called too.
Yeah, I forget too, but that's a franchise.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have been into this for quite a while, and it's a really good outlet when you are, starved for, okay, I'm tired of watching TV. I've watched every movie on my go
Yeah,
list.
exactly. Yeah.
So that was really interesting of how a creative can figure out a way to use her skills.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of funny, like she was phrasing things and then she would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm used to talking to 7-year-olds,"
It's great.
fun.
Rebecca got it for us. Rebecca Mead. It's a
Yeah.
pink step. It was so easy.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. It was it was a lot of fun, and I probably will do it again. Yeah. I wasn't sipping because it was through the University of New Haven. It was an event sponsored by the University of New Haven. So it was all, fellow professors and work people. So I was not sipping. But yeah, I was not. But it was a great way to celebrate, grades going in, right? Because like all my classes ended last week. I got all my grades in. It was a great stress reliever. And also, so I have started I don't know what they're going to call me yet, but working with the Arts Alliance of Stratford. And yeah, so I had a nice talk with the I guess she's the founder of the arts organization, helping them with, a lot of the stuff like email, all that communications.
Right, all the communication type stuff. Yeah.
And so, they've pivoted as an organization. You can't have a show in person anymore. You can't show your art in a gallery. I mean, you can and then go photograph it or, video it.
Yeah, or find a way if it's like a big enough gallery. Like I know that some are doing like socially distanced because I did go to the Magazzino Art Gallery up in New York, and it's like a warehouse, and each room is like a warehouse. But a lot of galleries are small.
They're storefront. They're tiny little. Yeah. So what they've started to do to support artists is, first of all, they're holding online classes. So they're doing a lot of, I can't. This is not my thing, but drawing, like figure drawing.
Okay, yeah.
And so they're having models do short and long-term poses. But now they're not constrained to models just in Fairfield County, Connecticut, or local. So they've been using models from all over the United States. Which is
an interesting concept, right? Because no matter what business or even in art, right? You as a business, I've seen a lot of businesses that I work with within certain ranges. They're like, wow, we have access to everything in every place now. But at the same time, that also means that there's competition elsewhere. So you're sitting in Connecticut saying, I could do this anywhere. But somebody sitting in Chicago saying, I can do this anywhere. And then again, how do you brand yourself, to make yourself more, to bring in more audience, bring in more customers.
Which on Google becomes even more expensive because now, you don't geo-target. Now you're trying to, go past that and compete with, like these franchise, for example, companies. And, you're a 6th grade art teacher, in the Chicago school district, trying to living.
They're already ramped up.
Right.
Which is interesting because I work with a woman who's out of New York, and she actually, this is kind of the flip. She was able to kind of geo-target and target because she did have students already. She brought them online, but then it's like, hey, you know what? The parents need a break too.
Right.
So I can do day classes for the students and then do night classes or weekend classes 20, 30 minutes or 45 minutes or something like that, where the parents, let's just do a little sketch thing. Let's do, this thing and that thing. And they were already a ready audience. It was within the geographic range. They knew her already. So even though some of the potential students, the kid students or the K through 12 or whatever,
Right.
she was still able to bring in within that reach. So I think that kind of goes back to your first thing with the kind of direct to consumer, but also bringing in like a new audience.
Right. That's genius, actually. That's pretty genius what she did. And that's something I hadn't really thought about, which is in that case it makes sense, and in other cases it might as well, where you kind of have a captive household for all the generations, right? And all of the people in the household. There are, there are lots of, what are they calling them? Pods of people who are now living together safely. I think that's a really great idea. Is how do you serve like everyone in a captive household, but meet their needs in a different way. Yeah, that's kind of genius, actually. So there are a lot of I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, but I will say that I had a call yesterday with a company in Copenhagen, and they are they're selling in the U.S. I mean, they are not constrained by geography. It's their service is an online higher ed platform. So they're not constrained. And what they're finding, and what a lot of other companies are finding, is that human resources no longer has to worry about hiring somebody who lives in New Haven. You can hire somebody in Portugal and they can work for you. And it's good for employers. It's good for, employees and consultants. I mean, the constraints of you have to be local for many things, not all things, but for many things, it's just gone out the window. So it's kind of in some ways been an expansion for some businesses who have realized that if everybody's working from home, I can hire somebody who has the skills who I would not be able to hire before, when it was required, right, that everybody be in the office. So I think in terms of a talent pool, the world has gotten a bit larger for many of us who are whether you were working from home before or whether this is new to you now, you probably have all the equipment, the camera, you have everything you need by now. And so that really expands your world. And no longer do you have to look for a job only in your commutable area. You really can, expand globally. And the whole digital nomad thing too is kind of interesting. I find that very appealing. Have laptop.
We'll go anywhere.
Yeah. I think that I can't even imagine how terrible it must feel to have a retail business right now. And I was out driving the other day, and all of the storefronts, store for rent, and I mean, it's just heartbreaking and sad. But it isn't all doom and gloom. And I think just to be creative and think outside the box, and figure out how can you either figure out a new and different way to do business, or how do you do business in a way that is going to serve you better in the future. in some way. So maybe you close something down or a piece of something down, but then you expand, you know, in
Focus
another
elsewhere.
in
Yeah.
another way. Right, right.
Yeah, it was interesting. I have an example of that as well, because I have talked about this client before, and I'm allowed to talk about them. But Scottish Creations, they're a client of Agents of Branding, and I believe that they pivoted beautifully, and we helped them. But they were like, their focus was not so much online at first, right? They would do Scottish festivals, they would do Renaissance fairs, you know, kind of going up and down from Pennsylvania all the way up to Maine and back, and then kind of close down for a season and do a little bit online. And they had to pivot all the way online and just kind of like open up, again, a whole new world. So they went from being regional to more national. And we were looking at like, not first we were looking at Scottish heritage, and then interest in, like, of course, Outlander. Everybody wants to have a little bit of Scottish when the TV, you know, that sort of thing. But then it just kind of got bigger and bigger. And then one of the things too, and I think this is something that's important, and I think it's something that we've seen happen, and even us marketers do this now, right? Because I'm talking to you, I have a relationship with Rebecca and that sort of thing, so we're all kind of like sharing information. They connected more with Scottish organizations and Scottish manufacturers. They always had like relationships with the vendors and everything, but they really solidified that as a brand, right? So their brand was to kind of be a beacon and showcase all of these different organizations. And this was just like a little, you know, two-person, you know, two lovely people in Fairfield County, Connecticut, and they're just like, because they have that connection, and then bringing in the storytelling as well, right? Everybody loves, you know, stories and
Scotch.
And whiskey. Yeah. We have lots of things for whiskey. But yeah, so all of this kind of storytelling and all of this, again, connection, it's like they're just bringing their world, they're bringing you into their world and kind of building that world around you. So it's just like, it's really, you know, you're getting like, oh. And they had like I think they had a great holiday season. Just really wonderful. And now, you know, again, it's like, it's the 22nd, let's just go to gift cards, but still have that connection. And the other thing too is they really, I mean, I feel like they're on the line 24 hours answering questions, you know, kind of like personal shopping, you know, my wife wants this, I'm really interested in that. I think somebody, you know, and they're like helping along the way, you know. So all of this customers, you know, marketing speak, customer centric, customer service, that sort of thing. But what they're doing is just like, they have new customers that I'm sure are going to be lifelong, you know, customers.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure if you look at what's that website, nationaldaycalendar.com, and there are a couple of others that have all the hashtag holidays. I'm pretty sure there are Scottish holidays in there that they can market around as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? Yeah.
That definitely, and even the way that they celebrate Christmas, or, you know, Yule or whatever, and then how they celebrate New Year, how, you know, all the way down the line, how they celebrate the solstice, you know, and then just like, you know, the beauty, people who love to travel and like to have like a little memento of a certain place or that sort of thing. So it's really been fun working with them and helping them not only continue but grow. And I think that's, you know, that's what we're talking about, is that there's ways to do this. And I think also saying that, talking to a marketer and kind of having somebody bring in ideas of how this, you know, how different things can work.
Right.
Yeah, and really, you know, I think too, just one more point, taking the time, I know, I'm like, I'm on a roll now.
Whatever you want.
But, and again, I've been talking about this with a lot of different branding experts and marketers, and like with yourself, is just really, I think there was a lot of inward thinking as well, kind of like bringing it all in and just thinking about, it's like, who are we even? You know,
Right.
who are we even as people, and also who are we even as a business? And I think I did that a lot as well. And I think for me, bringing digital media sync online and doing a live stream, whereas like usually I just want to be the worker bee and in the background and that sort of thing. And now it's like, no, I feel like I'm kind of like more in an educator mentor role, which I'm,
Definitely.
yeah. So it's interesting. And I think, well, with you, you've kind of expanded and grew a lot as well, I think.
Oh yeah. In some ways I contracted
Yeah.
so that I could make space, for the new things. And it's funny, as you were talking about Scottish creations, I'm part of a global writers group, and we meet once a month. It's people all over the world.
Yeah.
India, Scotland, Germany, Canada, oh gosh, other parts of the UK. So it's really like everywhere. And this one, it's funny, I was thinking about this one woman who's in the writers group, and she's in, she is, I think she's in Glasgow. I'm not 100% sure what city she's in Scotland. But I was thinking that the whole, even though our worlds got smaller,
Yeah.
we're in our homes. The flip side of that, again, right? Always look at the positive side, is that our worlds have really expanded.
Yeah.
And I know mine has. Exploring my own creativity to have the time, I'm not commuting, I'm not, on the road every day anymore, right, with classes.
Yeah.
So, I've had time to explore my own creativity, and writing has become like such a thing for me. And this writers group from people all over the world has been just an amazing experience that I probably never would have stumbled on had it not been for the pandemic, to be honest. So, I'm not in any way making light of the, world crisis.
Right.
But I think it's what you do with it too. And it's how there's that phrase, you can't control what happens, you can only control how you react to it. And so, I'm just trying to make the best of what otherwise would be a terrible situation.
Yeah. I think everybody is, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, right? You can't be like frozen and panic mode all the time.
Right.
Just in the morning for me.
Right. And because of my writing on Medium, and really creating a portfolio of different kinds of writing, right? Because I wrote a book, but that's a much different kind of process. It is. This is new training for me, and I'm learning a lot, which I love. And so that then opened up an opportunity for me to become a contributor to a website called Biznology. So the editor looked at my writing portfolio and said, "Yeah, we'd love to have you." So I sent all that stuff off actually last night. So in January, I'll be I don't even know, contributing writer, columnist. I'm not really sure what they call people.
What's the website for that? Is it BIZNOLOG?
Yeah, BIZNOLOGY, biznology.com. Yeah. So it's business, tech, and all of that. And she loved that, my specialty, if you will, is small business, because they don't have a lot of that. So she was, very willing to say, hey, definitely. So I think the obligation there is once a month to submit an
Okay,
article.
submit something once a month.
Yeah, yeah. So my first one will be in January. So I'm putting
That's
the
exciting.
finishing, yeah, I'm putting the finishing touches on that. So it's interesting because I've been an author,
Right.
but this is being a writer, and it's a little bit different.
Different.
So again, it's expanding a little bit. Having a chance to explore your things that you've always wanted to do, and businesses. I mean, on a personal level, but on a business level, is important as well. If you've ever wanted to do something a little bit different, and it's like blue ocean strategy, right? If you've ever read that book,
Yeah.
don't do what everybody else is doing.
Right.
I
So
mean,
yeah.
you're not competing with them. If you do something that is very different and you can make it successful, then they're going to be wanting to copy you,
Right.
not the other way around. So you're not competing with them. You're creating a whole new, either a whole new market or a whole new product or service. Remember how many decades ago people said email, right?
Yeah.
And now, hello, right?
Yeah, exactly. So that's really interesting because I think that all those things that we each touched upon about like how we grew our personal brand, our business, what we're doing, expanding and that sort of thing. And I think that that is definitely another thing. I guess it's kind of like doing business in a pandemic, right? Is reinventing, right? And a lot of people are saying pivoting, like that's like a big word right now, and it's true that there is. It's like you're going down one path, and you just have to like make this sharp turn, right? But I think that there's also kind of like again, kind of reconfiguring, reinventing and that sort of thing. And then just being flexible. And I know another term that's being used is agile, right? But I think that, I just remember in the beginning around March or April, I think there was a period of time where it's just like I remember I was using the term, I was like, I think we're just being like business psychologists right now, like business therapists, because a lot of people, and including myself, was just like, what are we going to do? And this is when we thought it was only going to be a couple of weeks or maybe a month or something like that. Now it's like months and months at a time. And I know, there's friends of, mine, and I'm sure friends of yours who are business owners, and whether it be retail or services or whatever it is, and constantly having to move and maneuver through, just staying open, and at the same time trying to stay centered in what the business is, and then kind of looking at different avenues as to how it can stay
Right.
just
like
stay in business. And that's like such a a leap, and we're bouncing back and forth within that.
Right. Well, in one way, it just sort of, the lesson is never be complacent, because
for sure.
I mean, this hopefully is just a once in a lifetime, earth shattering change. But
Right.
I'm thinking of this, this art, teacher, this elementary school art teacher who just said, I love doing art. I love teaching art. Why can't I do this for adults? And she was doing it in her local neighborhood, going to like these private parties that people were having in their home, because she doesn't have a retail space and she doesn't want one.
Yeah.
So she put some signs on, a little van, and went around and went to different organizations and meetings, and but now it's all virtual, and she's been able to be agile, right? From being a teacher to having an art business, to now changing how she does the art business.
Yeah.
So So you do have to be agile. And, you know, I think if a non-business person, you know, I, you know, a sixth grade art teacher, for example, can figure all this out. I just think that it was so inspirational for
Yeah.
me to meet her. She was lovely and wonderful, and you know, encouraging, and you know, didn't make fun of
Right.
everybody's like stick
Well,
figures.
right. She took all of these skills and the way that she is, and she just brought it over, right?
Right,
Because if
right,
you're teaching children, you don't want to be judgmental and you want to be patient and that sort of thing. It's like, well, you want to do that with everybody. Like, why wouldn't you? And she understood that. And like, just like this, she has a business model. She
right.
has a way to engage with the audience. She has a customer centric approach, you
Definitely.
know, and this is something that we are learning from, like you said, a sixth grade teacher, or the woman that I know, you know, same thing, like a K through 8 teacher who just takes all of that, all of those skills and all of that personality and brings it into a different space, you know. So
Right,
it's really interesting to see that there's like,
right,
that's all, you know what I'm saying? Like that's all you need for like a business mindset and somebody who's
mhm,
not complacent. And I think, you know,
right,
that's definitely the thing, is somebody who's always kind of thinking in a process of service. And I think
right,
that that's definitely one of the ways people are in businesses is going to stay
right.
relevant throughout the next several months. And hopefully, you know, I'm going to be Pollyanna now, you know, hopefully that this is going to be a way that we've learned to do business,
Right,
you know, be a little bit more patient, be a little bit more in the space of like why we're doing our, you know, why we're doing what we're doing. I
right,
think for me, what I've learned personally is that I do love having the business that I have. I do love being in the space that I'm in. And I do love imparting what I've learned over 25 years. Like, that's a long time, like 25 years. And just kind of like owning that
right.
and then pushing it, like just pushing it back out into the world,
Yep,
you know, and
yep,
what does that look like? And um yeah, the background is like scary. How do I pay my bills? Da da da. What's going on? Are we all gonna like make it? What's you know, that sort of thing. But still, like, it focused me on like, am I doing the right thing?
right.
And in my
Because
career.
right, and when things are going well, and you don't think about change, you don't think about
Yeah,
what else, you know, can I do, or what can I stop doing to make room for something new? Where do
yeah,
I want to grow? It's both a personal and a business thing. And in the case of being solopreneurs like you and I,
yeah,
um, those two things are tied together.
they are.
You know, I mean, definitely they are tied together. And there's, it's just a matter of like, how do you, in your head, you know, how do you say, okay, you know, this is, maybe this is what I should be doing now, you
Right.
know? You know, the like hiring high school kids or college kids, you know, who have a car, and doing delivery services to keep my customers happy.
Right.
And maybe you find that so popular, and then you can expand your service to people who don't have a car, or people
Right.
who are older and don't drive anymore, for example, or
Yeah.
who are, you know, sick. And you may discover an entirely new market, just by being creative, you know, during a very difficult time. And, you know, listen, we're all in the same boat. I mean, there are millions and millions of people right now, just in this country alone, who can't pay their mortgage.
Yeah.
So it's nothing anymore to be personally, it's me, I'm a failure, I'm ashamed, you know, there's none of that now. It's like we're
Right.
all in this together. Like, how can we how can we figure this out? How can we make it better for our personal lives, our families, and then our clients, our community, and sort of,
the greater world.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So stretch out from there. There are so many businesses that are stepping up and doing good, as well as people, of course, but, especially small businesses that are just, doing what they have to do to take care of their business, their families, their neighbors and community.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that out of all of this, I don't know what to call it, insanity. I don't even know. That some long-lasting change and for the good, will occur that sticks. That isn't just, during time of crisis, I'm nice and I make
and then go back to right. You know what? I just have to stop for a moment and say, what a way to end out this digital media sync and end out this year. I'm so super happy. I knew I was going to be super happy that I brought you on because we always have good conversations. And I'm so happy to have, Rebecca Mead and Chris. I'm just thinking about everybody now. We've all been trying to do our part. And I think that this is a good wish to kind of close out. I have one more digital media sync, but these last 5 minutes, I think, really talked about where we are as a people, and that people, and especially, I definitely have a really special spot in my heart for fellow, small business owners and solopreneurs, because we know what our struggle is, and mompreneurs. I started out, when I started my business, I had 2 smaller children. And I was still I still have panic attacks when I think about, all the things that I did as a business owner and as a mom. And I know that there are business owners out there who are parents, not just moms, that, are just doing all the things, and I think that
do what you got to do,
Do what you got to do.
And if you think about it too hard, you might not do it. Sometimes you just need to jump in.
Yeah. No,
and
for
say,
sure.
Whatever, throw caution to the wind, just, jump in and you figure it out. I mean, it is, sometimes too much planning, too much research can be a hindrance, right? You figure it out as you go.
Right. No, and I know a lot of times too, and I just had a call yesterday with a potential client, and it was just really parallel track of research, analytics, planning, and it's but we have something that's going. It's you just have to do both things at once. You just have to hit both roads at the same time. So you're straddling, doing the strategy and implementing it as you go along, and then as you're learning. And I think that's what I really loved about marketing, and specifically digital marketing, because I've been doing marketing my whole life. But this, getting information and data in real time so that you can move in real time, and I'm I wonder why I'm so exhausted at the end of the day, because your brain is you got the left brain and the right brain working at the same time.
Right. Yeah, I think, there's some people will always step up and do the right thing, and pandemic or not. I mean, there are, I think, permanent change, permanent mindset certainly has taken place, and we can only hope that a lot of that continues, but I think it will. I think it will. I think consumers, businesses, society in general has just changed so much now after these, whatever, 9, 10 months.
Yeah.
And who knows, how much longer, that people who do good from a good place,
Yeah.
are going to be the winners, while serving their community and their customers and all of that.
Yeah.
Right. 'Cause you have to make a living. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to pay rent and the mortgage and put food on the table.
You don't have to like grab at everything.
Exactly.
I think that's always been the thing, and I'm always like, I will put out as much as I take in.
Right.
Well,
Exactly.
you said, I'm like, where's my pencil?
Yeah.
So it got to be 9:30, like a full hour. Super.
Wow, already.
I know. See, that's what I mean. It's like, we have these things, and then we're just like patting away, and it's like, whoa, we got the points across.
This was awesome.
It was super, super fun. I put your Medium article up. I'm totally excited to see what happens next with everything that you're doing. So I want to bring you on, and like, again, in the next couple of months, maybe when you have a couple of Biznology.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Biznology. That would be great too. They would appreciate it. It's so many subjects.
That is so awesome. I so appreciate you being on. I appreciate everybody in the audience as well. We will have one more digital media sync. I think it's on the 29th, if I can do my math correctly, because today is the 22nd. So 22 plus 7 is 29.
Right.
I can do math. So, and I'm thinking, Rebecca, Chris, Randye, if you want to pop on, I think we're just going to do guests, and we're just going to have like a really fun time, again, talking more about trends, talking about what we're going to be doing personally as marketers, how we work. So stay tuned, take a look at the, I'm like, where are we going? The Known Co-working Facebook page. I'll have it up on there. I'll have it on Instagram. I will have it on Digital Media Sync. I'm going to take this live stream and put it into the nhbknown.com website. So
and YouTube. Don't forget YouTube.
And YouTube. I know YouTube. I'm like, everywhere. It's just going to be everywhere.
You're going to have a busy morning.
No, because I have StreamYard, and it does all the things for me.
Oh, so, fabulous!
Yeah. Now I'm like, I gotta go to work now.
You'll have to teach me that one day.
That's how do you StreamYard?
Yeah,
it's wonderful. Yeah. Okay, I'm not getting paid to say that, by the way. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. All right.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.